The Habitrail OVO cages have always been really nostalgic for me. My first hamster I had, he lived in a critter trail cage, and the cage that I connected to his first one was a singular Habitrail OVO pad that I had saved up all my money for, and I went to Zeller's when it still existed and purchased it. And thankfully I don't see many people using these as much anymore, but I'm sure there are some people out there who have considered purchasing this type of enclosure. So I kind of wanted to do a video on why I don't necessarily agree with this type of cage. But before we get started, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about our sponsor, Clawstars, available on the App Store and Google Play. Clawstars is a claw machine game with a twist that involves a little hamster and his friend Alice the rabbit, who are on a mission to discover all of the cute little creatures trapped in orbs by using your claw to restore the universe and compete against friends to complete each planet. Throughout the game, you are able to claw for many different rewards like coins, rubies, and other discoveries to help you upgrade and build each planet. You also are able to attack friends by kidnapping their animals, hacking their coins, or putting blockades on their buildings. But watch out, because they can do the same to you. You also get the chance to customize your hamster's spacesuit and spaceship by using your claw to unlock a trip to the Style Station and collect different outfits. To say the least, this game has become very addictive to play, and I find myself waiting for new claws to reload so I can continue playing. If you're interested in downloading the game, use the link below, as I'd love to play against you guys as well. Now back to the video. So I guess I'll just start by setting up the enclosure, and then we can talk a little bit about the things I'm not a huge fan about and why it doesn't make a suitable hamster enclosure. Since I had one of these a long time ago, I should be able to put this together fairly simple, but we will see. Oh, the famous water bottle. I will talk about this in a little bit. We have a book of pamphlets. Don't need those. Before I put this together, I'm going to measure the base because I think that'll be easier without the lid on it. This is going to be a little bit more tricky because measuring the area of a circle is a little bit more complicated than a rectangle or square. It involves pi, radius, and squared. So I'll try my best. There also is this part here that takes up some of the floor space, so it's likely going to be even less of a number than what I come up with. So first we have to find the diameter, and then half of the diameter is the radius. It's about 11. Half of 11 is 5.5, and now we need a calculator. So I'm going to take pi times 5.5 squared equals 95 square inches of floor space, and that's not including the fact that this takes away half of the space. Nice. So I guess I'll attach the wheel on. This also takes up floor space in here, so I'm not a huge fan of this wheel simply because it just isn't large enough. This is about a 7-inch wheel, so it just wouldn't be large enough for any hamster species. Hamsters do better in a larger wheel, and they actually prefer a larger wheel over something that is small. Another issue with the wheel, they have these holes that go around in it. It's for the convenience of so seeds or poop will fall through, but it's large enough that it could possibly get a foot or toe caught in there and injure your hamster. Here we have the convertible top lid. Come in. I think these, yeah, okay. Uh-oh. Why is there always an issue? Okay, well, it doesn't want to close all the way. Now for the tubes portion. The Habitrail tubes kind of have always been my preferred tubes over like critter trail tubes. I think they're just a little bit larger, even though they still aren't large enough for a Syrian hamster. This would be a lot better for a dwarf. They're 2 inches in diameter, and while a Syrian can fit in these, obviously, we run into the issue of like when they go to pouch food, they can pouch a lot of food, and seeds can be very sharp. So if they're cramming themselves into an area that is a little bit smaller than their cheek pouches can fit, it could possibly poke their skin and cause an infection, which would not be good. You would obviously have to see the vet to treat that. So for a Syrian hamster, it is recommended that for most entrances, is this supposed to come out? Sadie says no, apparently. I've never in my life had that happen. Okay. So for the entrance for a Syrian, it should be at least 3 inches to prevent any seed poking. Obviously, another thing with plastic tubes is the fact that they can heat up really fast compared to just not having plastic tubes at all. So that can definitely be an issue. This enclosure also claims to be escape-proof, which I think is a very bold claim to make when you are making a hamster cage. I don't believe any enclosure is escape-proof. A hamster will always find a way. And an enclosure like this, where it's mainly plastic, they definitely could chew out if they wanted to. This pod here has very, very bad ventilation, which I haven't talked about yet, but the ventilation on this is just not up to what I would consider to be good. Obviously, there's holes all over the top, but I don't consider that to be enough. I would much prefer if it was all like mesh or something. And these holes are definitely large enough for a hamster to get their teeth in, which then means they could chew it. These tube stoppers as well are another escape waiting to happen. I know some of them can come like loose. These ones are kind of decent. They're pretty like on there, but if a hamster really wanted to, they could figure out a way to like eventually push it off or chew around the rim and then pop it off. So this tube they didn't make even. I don't know what happened in production, but it doesn't fit together proper. I'm sure that would be super secure for a hamster. Now onto the dreaded water bottle. So even when I had this enclosure, I was not a big fan of this water bottle. I was actually really worried about my hamster getting water out of this. For one, look at this angle. For the hamster to try and drink water, they literally have to completely bend their neck. That is far from natural. And then also, this isn't like your traditional water bottle. It doesn't have like a ball. It is just a metal piece. Okay, well, we wouldn't even be able to put water in this if this doesn't come off. So no water for our hamster, but it doesn't have a traditional ball. It is just a metal piece with a hole in it. You're supposed to create a suction by holding your finger on it and tipping it, I think. That never ever worked for me. It would always leak and it would just flood the entire cage. So this water bottle is a big no from me. Now my favorite part that I actually have from Habitrail is this transport unit. I actually like this for just a little tiny carrier for a smaller hamster. There we go. And that completes our hamster's enclosure. Now I kind of want to go over some of the claims that they tend to make. So actually on the box, one of the things that they claim is that they say Habitrail is the leader in replicating hamsters' natural habitat. And that their engineers study every detail of a hamster's life. I find that very, very hard when this is what they've come up with for a cage. And then on the other side it says, did you know that hamsters are naturally scared of open spaces? And in the wild, hamsters live alone, making homes underground, which is true. They normally have one small living area and many passageways. This small living space provides the hamsters a sense of security, which is part of their natural behavior in the wild. Offer your hamster the habitat that is closest to his natural environment. And then they also put a picture, which it looks like their setup they've kind of made but in dirt form. And then they put like, it looks like a crow to me at the above, and then there's hamsters in it. They had the right spirit, they went on the wrong track when it came to making this cage. While hamsters do spend a lot of time in their burrows, for one, a lot of the times they do make their own burrows, and they actually get enrichment out of making their own burrows. So when you do something like this, you're taking away that enrichment for them, and you wouldn't even be able to let them naturally burrow with this type of base because of the way it's made. So the shape of it is deceiving. So this front lip's like, it's pretty wide or deep looking. It looks like it's 4.5 inches, but it goes down on the sides, and then you have that wheel. You're literally going to be able to put 1/2 inch of bedding in order to not block this wheel. So you've just taken away an actual enrichment. Another thing, hamsters don't live in their burrows 100% of the time. They do leave them every single night in order to go foraging and looking for nesting and food to bring back to their burrows. This is a system that would just be them constantly living in their burrows, which is not accurate to how they live. So I don't think this design is replicating at all any of their natural behaviors. It is just doing the opposite. I kind of have a checklist that I go through to ensure that an enclosure is appropriate and can provide all of these things. So I'll just go through that right now. An appropriate sized wheel, that means something bigger than 7 inches. Deep substrate, that is 6 inches at minimum, but more preferred 10 inches or deeper. A sand bath, and multiple substrates, which, to be fair, I guess you could put multiple substrates in different pods, so I guess I will give that to them. Being able to put different accessories like cork logs, grapevine wood into the enclosure. I also personally like using multi-chamber hideouts, which I think my multi-chamber hideout has more floor space than this pod altogether. Yikes. And yes, of course, you could connect multiple pods, but no matter how many of these pods you connect, at the end of the day, it's just never going to be large enough for a hamster to perform any natural behaviors or be happy. I can see why a lot of hamsters would try to escape out of these enclosures. Hopefully this video has been able to help anybody who was maybe looking into getting one of these enclosures for their hamsters. And I'll also leave a link to a video I did on enclosures that actually would be better suited for a hamster than something like this. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!